Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Number to call if you want to join the conversation, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. We still would like to get your AFR Talk listener stories if the ministry of Focal Point has impacted you in some way, if it's encouraged you, if it's motivated you, if it's mobilized you, if God has used it in some way in your life to motivate you to become engaged in the culture war, help you grow as a Christian. Give us a call and record your story, and we can use it during Share-a-thon. The direct line to record your story, listener story, is 877-876-8893, 877-876-8893. Share-a-thon coming up starts a week from today, as a matter of fact, starting April 8, 9, and 10. So give us a call, 877-876-8893. And that's not just for Focal Point. You've been touched by Kevin McCullough's program, AFA Today, Today's Issues with Tim Wildman and Ed and the gang, Dan Celia, Sandy Rios, Bert and Alex, who follow this program with Exploring the Word, Tony Perkins, Washington Watch, Crane Durham. Call that number and leave your listener story. 888-589-8840 is the number to call. Now, here's a story I was getting to. You know, Tammy Bruce coined that, well, I used it. I've been using it for years, but she either came up with it herself or came across it somewhere and used it. She is a lesbian. Tammy Bruce is a lesbian. She used the term Gay Gestapo. She said, look, when you got the Gay Gestapo trying to compel a baker to work involuntarily against his own will to provide goods and services against his will, that's slavery. And if you compel him to do it against his conscience, that's tyranny. That's why she calls them the Gay Gestapo. Now, here is President Obama. This is clip number 1. This is a clip that features Coast Guard Commandant Admiral Robert Papp. Now, he's headed for retirement, I think, the end of this month. Well, May 30. May 30, he'll be retiring from active duty, so he can divulge this stuff without it jeopardizing his career because he's inside a couple of months to go anyway. But he's talking in this soundbite about a visit of all of the heads of the various branches of the military who were summoned by President Obama into the Oval Office in 2010. Now, remember that President Obama in 2008, he told The Advocate, which is a gay publication, that he would not make support of Don't Ask, Don't Tell a litmus test for his military leaders. That's what he said in 2008. Supporting homosexuality in the military is not going to be a litmus test for me. It's going to be fine with me if I have military commanders, heads of the branches, who still believe in natural marriage. I'm going to be okay with that because, quote, what I want are members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff who are making decisions based on what strengthens our military and what is going to make us safer, not ideology. That was then. Then in 2010, as he was driving things toward the repeal of the ban on open homosexuality in the military. And here's where the account of Coast Guard Commandant Robert Papp picks up. He's talking here to Coast Guard grads, I think, at some kind of ceremony or Q&A session. And he talks about what happened when they were called into that room, into the Oval Office. Let's listen.
One of the things that I got, and I'll be completely candid with you, one of the early things that I was faced with as Commandant is the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And I think we made the right decision. But we were called into the Oval Office, and President Obama looked all 5 service chiefs in the eye and said, this is what I want to do. And I cannot divulge everything he said to us. That's private communications within the Oval Office. But if we didn't agree with it, and if any of us did not agree with it, we all had the opportunity to resign our commissions and go do other things. And so that was a pretty big thing at the time. It was something that was huge compared to my existence for, at that point, probably about 35 years in the service. And we were called up to the Hill to testify on it. So you're all going to be confronted with things large and small. I would suggest you to work hard working on the small things because then it prepares you for those big things that will come later in your career.
So that's President Obama.
Does that answer it for you?
That's President Obama, chief enforcer of the Gay Gestapo. It's my way or the highway. Either you approve the embrace of sodomy in the United States military or your career is over. And I don't care that you've been in the military for 35 years. I don't care about your experience. I don't care about the quality of your ability to exercise command in the military. If you don't embrace my radical social engineering agenda, you are history. You are out of here. You are gone. You are in the archives. 888-589-8840. South Carolina University, upstate, by the way, is holding a seminar entitled How to Be a Lesbian in 10 Days or Less. Wait a minute. I thought they were born that way. Apparently not, because here's a whole seminar, How to Be a Lesbian in 10 Days or Less. And you might have heard about this. The new CEO at Mozilla, they make the Firefox browser, which is the browser of choice for me. It's the main one that I use. And the new CEO of Mozilla Firefox back in 2008 made a $1,000 donation, which is, it's a sizable chunk of change, but not a lot of money for a guy in his income bracket. He made a donation to support Proposition 8. He made a $1,000 donation to support the campaign to protect natural marriage in the state of California. Now you got everybody, now that this is resurfaced that he did this, he's apologized all over himself. I'm sorry for all the pain that I've caused. It was a mistake. It was a terrible thing. I'm a no good, very bad person for haven't even thought about doing that. Doesn't matter to them because it's like that atheist said. They don't even want people like this to exist. So they're calling for his scalp. They want him run out of Mozilla Firefox, one of the dating websites, OkCupid. If you use Mozilla Firefox to get to their website, you run into a letter complaining about this guy and urging people to use a different browser to contact their dating website. Those who seek to deny love and instead enforce misery, shame, and frustration are our enemies. We wish them nothing but failure. Talking about the CEO of Mozilla, his crime, a one-time donation 6 years ago to support natural marriage. 888-589-8840. Let's grab a call from Mary in East Texas. Mary, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hey, I want to thank you for being there and for bringing all of this out. It is so amazing how we just don't hear this, and you say it all. It's perfect. Anyway, my message is impeach Obama. I write that anytime and anywhere I can on any website that asks for feedback because he needs to be. There's a book that has over 37 different reasons to impeach him, and that was written like 2 or 3 years ago, and now, it's called Unfit to Rule.
Mm-hmm.
And it compares the fact that we declared our independence from England, and King George, I think it was 37 or 57 different offenses he committed, and Obama has far exceeded these.
Yes.
What is wrong with the House that they will not impeach this man? Even my representative, who is a conservative Republican, won't touch it.
Yeah. Well, I know it's disappointing to us all. I mean, everybody can recognize politically that that's probably not going to lead to a conviction because the Senate is in the hands of the Democrats. But if he has committed impeachable offenses and you have the power to bring charges, then I think you have a moral responsibility to do that. It's a little bit like a prosecutor saying, look, this guy's committed a crime. I've got all the evidence here that he's committed a crime. He's guilty of what he's done. But if I bring him to trial, I can't possibly win. So I'm not even going to bother. We're going to let this guy go scot-free. I'm not even going to bring charges, not even going to file charges, not even going to take this to the grand jury. And that, to me, is just a dereliction of duty. And you're exactly right, Mary. I'm looking at the Declaration of Independence. The founders referred to a long train of abuses and usurpations. And then they list them all. I haven't counted them up, but you're right. There's a couple dozen here listing the specific charges against King George. All right. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate that. Let's go to Larry in Matador, Texas. Larry, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hey, I spent 8 years in the Army, and I want to talk to you about the sexual assault and some of the other things that you mentioned earlier.
Yes, sir.
Well, there are several cases where females and other people do lie about that stuff, but we're also trained. We have classes we have to go through, and sexual assault is one of them. And they do talk to you quite a bit about don't put yourself in those types of situations at one point. The other point is that the commanders in these units have almost all the authority when that kind of stuff happens. And often when someone reports sexual assault, it goes up to the commander, and nothing is ever done about it. There's really no investigation or anything. You know, they kind of sweep it under the rug, and then the person that reports it has to serve with the, you know, right next to the person that did it, and then it never goes anywhere because oftentimes they're friends with the commander.
So what you're saying there is in some of these cases where there may be an actual offense, you've got an eyewitness report is filed, which is what you're taught to do. If the guy is kind of the teacher's pet, then he may get off scot-free, and now it puts you in a difficult position.
Well, the commander doesn't want any attention, any negative attention on himself. He'd prefer to just sweep it under the rug. And eventually the person that reports it, their career ends up suffering because of it.
Yeah.
When I was in Iraq, we had a first sergeant who got caught groping lower enlisted, was a specialist underneath him. And
was it a female, or was he groping a female or a male?
He groped a female in front of a room full of NCOs. And all that happened was they moved him to another base in Iraq. He still got paid. He wasn't a first sergeant anymore, so he can't get promoted, but he's allowed to stay in the military, and he's still getting paid. He's still in Iraq, not paying taxes for the year that we were over there. And, you know, God only knows if he ever did it to anybody else, but I wouldn't really consider that a punishment. And then you also put the fact that you're in a position of authority and you're supposed to serve honorably. I think if you get caught doing that stuff, then you should go to prison.
Yeah, that is an abuse of authority. All right, well, listen, Larry, I appreciate the call, illustrating what we're talking about here from his own experience. Focal Point AFR Talk. We'll be right back after the news with the second hour of Focal Point today. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere.